Welcome to Flamecast. This is Todd Pletz, and today we're with one of the people from another one of our productions, Yodas Treasure. We've got Jedi number 5 herself. It's Tina Marler, formerly Peterson.
Hello.
So let's kind of go way back. I did this with Matt, but I cannot recall for the life of me exactly when we first met.
You and I?
Yeah.
Freshman year in college.
For
My
you.
freshman year in college.
I would have been second year.
Yep.
And it was probably at university meeting.
Yes.
University being the campus group.
Christian student group.
Yep. Non-denominational Christian group, and
Yes.
which I had already been you're 2 years.
I
You had me,
graduated
right?
in 95.
Well, from college, it's about when I did too, because I took the extended. Actually, it was 96, but anyways, but as far as high school, I graduated 89.
Yep, 2 years behind you.
So, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me. Keep track of it that way. Because, yeah, my college was kind of all messed up, going part-time and stuff. But, you must have met Rachel there, too.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, Rachel's my wife. So.
I believe I technically met Rachel through Signe. Because I think Signe, I don't know if she somehow knew her outside of the university group. Maybe had a class with her. I'm not sure. Or maybe went to university once by herself and then said, oh, there's this nice girl named Rachel there. And so Signe, I think, technically introduced me to Rachel, who then introduced me to you.
Okay. Yeah, that whole time was kind of a fog to me.
It's a long time ago.
I can't remember exactly how it happened.
It's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It is 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, my 20th anniversary with Rachel is this year. So, actually, it was more than 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. 93. And this is 13, so.
93?
Yep.
I was trying to remember when you got married.
August 93.
Scary.
So yeah, then you guys all ended up moving in together with, that's either Shelley and
Kathy.
I
How
keep
could you
forgetting her
forget
name. I
Kathy?
know. So that lasted a year, and that was about it.
Well, that's when you guys got married.
Yeah.
And then Signe and I tucked tail and ran because Kathy was driving us crazy.
I think she was driving everyone crazy, wasn't she?
She was so extreme.
Yeah. But there is the funny story that you have about dealing with Rachel. If you want to mention that, that's fine.
I was upset about something, and I don't remember what it was. Something stupid, probably had a bad day or something. And it annoyed her beyond words. And so she kept yelling at me and telling me I needed to just get over it, whatever it was. And she would upset me more every time she yelled at me, and so I'd run away from her and go to a different room, and then she'd follow me and she'd yell at me, and I'd run away and go to a different room, and eventually ended up locking myself in the bathroom till she left me alone, and she was so mad at me. She pounded on the door, "You need to quit doing this!" And yeah. That's funny. When I think about it. I don't even remember what I was upset about, and I'm sure she doesn't remember either, but I know it annoyed the pants off of her, and it annoyed the pants off of me, and I think after that we had an understanding.
Maybe even way back then she needed the antidepressants.
Or I did.
She doesn't do that to me. I'm like, you should feel special.
Oh, I do.
I don't even think she does that to the kids.
Chases them around until they're locked in a bathroom.
But yeah, that's funny.
Probably caught both of us on a bad day that day.
Um,
I remember what it was. Signy and I were fighting about something.
oh,
So she was maybe being a little protective of Signy.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay. And I don't know if I ever knew the story behind it, but how did you end up meeting Chris?
Well, when Signy and I moved out of the house where we lived with Rachel, Kathy, and Shelley, we moved into North Lodge, right across from the Memorial Student Center.
Yep.
Or right across from Samson, I guess. Both. And we met our neighbors, and across the hall was Sandy and Diana.
Mm-hmm.
And down the hall was Andy and Steve. And Andy and Steve very warmly invited me to come in and join their games. And so I did a couple of times. And then, we became friends. And then I had run into Andy and Steve a couple times when I was in the computer lab, and it just so happened that Marler was sitting next to them. And they introduced me to him in the computer lab that day. Hey, this is Marler. Marler, this is Tina. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? And that was it.
So he was in the computer lab when you first met him.
He was in the computer lab on the VAX. And that was the first time we had met. And then we didn't see each other again for like a year. And then one night Andy called Signy and I up and said, hey, I'm going to Marler's house to watch the Star Wars trilogy. You want to come? And so we went. And Signy fell asleep on the couch, and Chris drew a face on her forehead with a Sharpie.
Great.
And she had to scrub pretty hard to get that off. And that was the second time we had met, and still, again, it was, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. And then we didn't see each other again for probably another year later, when we both somehow ended up in the cities. And Steve called me up and said, it's Andy's birthday. You should come over to Marler's apartment. We're having a party. Mm. And I went over there, and that's actually when we actually had conversation with each other.
Okay.
And originally I was very offended because I thought he was still dating this other girl. Mm. And he was being very friendly, whispering in my ear. And I was playing a game, so he's trying to give me advice.
Yeah.
Private advice. But I thought it was rather friendly, and I was very offended. And so I left with Steve and Genevieve, and as we walked out, I asked them if he was still dating this girl, and they said, no, they broke up a long time ago. And I was like, oh, because he just asked me for my phone number. So that's how that happened. Crossed paths a couple times, and then ended up in the cities together. And it took him a week to call me. And he wouldn't have called me except that Andy or Steve and Genevieve went into the restaurant and said, did you call Tina yet? And he said, no, and she probably doesn't want to talk to me now. And they said, we have it on good authority that she's waiting for your call.
Yeah.
And so he called me like the next day.
It's kind of funny that you first met him in the computer lab, because I think that's when I first met him too. He was sitting in a computer lab.
Really?
Chad Richter, another person involved with our group. I'm not sure exactly what we were doing. I was walking around campus with him, and actually we might have been playing racquetball. I went upstairs, and he's like, yeah, let me introduce you to Chris Marler. And so yeah, we go up there, and he's like, yeah, he kind of sits up here until he smells. He's always at the computer. It's like, okay.
I would believe
But I met him, was like, yeah, he seemed like a decent enough guy. And then I don't remember.
Smells. That's funny.
Yeah, Chad's sense of humor. Yeah, I don't remember exactly when I met him again after that. He was probably with you again the next time I met him.
Years and years later.
Years later.
That's funny. And Chad and Chris actually were biology majors together for a while. Because Chad was originally a biology major.
I did not know that.
Yep, that's what he started in. Yep, and so he and Chris Plombeck and Cam. I don't remember his last name. Anyway, they started out together in the biology courses, and Chad switched.
That was a good move for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's funny how lives are intertwined, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a different intertwining there in Winona. And there's people that I know that know Chris, and it's like I would have never guessed that they were kind of connected in a certain way.
Really?
Yeah. I'd say Amy Chapletsky. She's Sean's godmother, but she supposedly went to school with him, so she knew who he was.
What was her major?
I think she business management or marketing, one of those.
She knew him somehow. Huh?
Well, because he went to Winona High School.
Oh, yeah.
He? And she did too,
Oh,
so
okay.
she knew him through high school. Not really too much college, but...
Okay. Cool.
Um,
Funny side story.
yeah.
Speaking of people from Winona, there's a woman that's in our playgroup right now, and Emma gets along really well with her son Charlie. Well, it turns out she's from Winona. Her brother knows Chris. She and I went to Winona State together, had a couple classes together, which I did not remember until I met her again. Okay. So we had classes together, went to Winona State, graduated. I think she graduated a year ahead of me. Then we ended up in Prior Lake together, teaching summer school. And then we ended up here, joining the same mom's group. And we both remember each other from teaching summer school and from Winona State, but we never really knew each other. It was just hey, how you doing? Crossing paths. And now we
for something to happen that many times, it's like
fate.
It's like, yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah, that's what's funny. So, yeah, we chuckle about that we cross paths so many times.
All right. Actually, when was it? In 2002, I believe. We're going to jump ahead a few years.
Okay.
But that's when we ended up getting the idea to do the first film, being Yodas Treasure. And as far as coming up with the people that are going to be in the film, I'm like, okay, let's get... I wanted to fill it with people I already knew. I wasn't like going to go to the college and say, hey, do you have some actors that we can use or anything? Because then I already knew I wanted to have like my friend Matt in there and some others. It's like, okay, we get someone experienced, they're going to make us all look bad. So yeah, I just ended up picking friends, and I know I had asked you guys, and from what I remember, you're pretty enthusiastic about it. You wanted to do it, so
yeah.
Like, all right. So you guys jumped on board. We did have this pre-production meeting, and I can't remember if you guys were there. It seems like you weren't, but we kind of spelled out what we wanted to happen in the film, what kind of characters we wanted, and such.
We were there.
And that's where I kind of told people, okay, we need to come up with names for all the Jedi and the group. So there was some online Jedi name generator that I used for a couple of them, and some of them they didn't sound right. I know Travis's was created that way.
And when March.
That was Chris.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Not Kareem.
Naughty Kareem Nazar or something like that.
Yeah, the last podcast with Matt, I was trying to think of Travis's name, and I just could not think of it for the life of me. And then all of a sudden it hit me one day. Trav Jafai was that one.
Oh, right.
Chris was Anwin March. And I think that one I used the generator
and
for.
Matt was the Naughty Kareem Nazar.
I guess that was Mark Anderson.
Oh, Mark. Right.
And Adi Karim Nazdari.
That's it.
Yeah, because he could not say it because it was too cold in filming in the Haas scene.
Adi Kareem Nazdari.
Yeah, he could not get that out.
That's right.
One of the highlights of the blooper reel. Also in the blooper reel, you had a few things in there. I don't know how long it's been since you've watched
scene?
that, but yeah, there was one where you said your lines and looked straight at me after saying it. I'm like, no, over here.
Well, there's one where I said it correctly and looked at Wade because I was saying, "Ha, I did it right," because he was saying, "You can't do it. Bet you can't do it right." So I said it and then I looked at him.
I don't think that one's on film.
No?
But, well, it might be.
It was hilarious.
Probably
I think it's
not.
on the blooper reel.
Oh, you did the one that we ended up using, and right after you're like, there I did it, or something like that. but yeah, I don't know if I told people beforehand to like dress really warm for this, because we would be shooting outside, because everyone is supposed to be in Jedi robes and such, and I think you guys were pretty prepared. I think for the most part everyone was, but I know some people, including one of my camera operators, are complaining about the weather. It's like, hurry up, it's cold.
Mark, I don't think Mark was dressed appropriately because I remember having a conversation with him about his feet being cold.
Oh.
That he didn't think to put on boots or warmer socks or whatever it was. Something was wrong with his feet, were frozen, and didn't he forget gloves too, or he didn't have gloves, and so in between takes he couldn't even put gloves on or something like that?
That might have been. I think he might have ended up using my gloves because his fingers were too cold. Yeah, he was unprepared.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have him in a bathrobe and stuff, but you gotta have something under there. Well, for him it was tough in the summer shot as well. Because
he was hot.
Yeah, he was hot, and then we had that shower cap on him.
And then he had to run through the weeds barefoot.
Yeah. But yeah, he had the shower cap on, and it was trapping all the heat on his head, and we ended up having to poke holes in the shower cap so it would vent a little bit. So yeah, some of the fun experiences there.
So you never told me where Jedi number 5 came from.
I'd come up with all the other names, and I'm like, I'm sick of everyone having, a generated name. Well, Dave's Jedi name was something he created himself, but I'm like, we've got all these Jedi names. It'd be funny just to have, Jedi number 5, as the last one, and just as a final name that we couldn't come up with, So that's how I chose that.
I always thought I was named after Mambo number 5.
Oh, that hadn't even crossed my mind. Let's see, we had the winter shots, the summer shots. We also came back to your place in Farmington and did a couple more scenes. We did the stuff out at the industrial park.
Yep.
With the sci-fi writer, little cutscene there.
Yep.
And then we had to green screen Chris's leg for when he kicks Darth Smiley over the cliff.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We did that right in your kitchen there.
That's right.
So yeah, people look closely, they can tell it's green screen, but you gotta be watching for it, I think.
I completely forgot about that. You can't tell.
No. I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah.
Some of the green screening I've done hasn't turned out all that great, but I think for the most part it turned out pretty nice in the first film. In the scenes with Darth Smiley, because we filmed all the stuff with Matt, I went out to Indiana, where he's living at the time, and filmed all that out of green screen. Well, actually, some green screen, some blue screen. Because his hair was green, so we had to have a different color in order to separate the two. And so the only blue cloth we had was like a U-Haul packing blanket. And there was print on the blanket, like the Eiffel Tower and Statue of Liberty and such. If you look really close, you can kind of see that yet, because I couldn't totally get it out.
No kidding.
Otherwise, it would have made his hair look starting to get transparent.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, we had after we got done with Yodas Treasure, I did have another script written up for you, Chris, and Travis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if did I let you read that one?
Yes, I believe you gave us a copy, and then for some reason, I think that's right around when Chris started working for Applebee's, and we never had time to do that.
And Travis moved away at about that same time.
Right.
Moved
That's
to
right.
Out to Nevada. So that one kind of dropped off the map for a bit, and I had another idea I was going to do. That one didn't happen. And then I came up with our what turned out to be our second film, which is Luke and Leia. And that one I had intended to have Travis and Chris as the main characters. But again, trying to get Travis back here was like pulling teeth.
Did Chris end up doing that?
He was in it as Shawns' father. And you were supposed to be the mother, but you were sick that day.
Oh.
So, yeah, you weren't there for the filming, but we had intended to have you.
I was going to say, I don't remember doing that one. I was sick that day, huh?
Yeah. And, of course...
When was that? What year?
Most of that was... Oh, gosh, what was it now? I should really know this. Well, Chula Vista was still open, so we can say it's beyond 1 year. Probably more like, I'd say 4 years ago.
4 years
Something
ago
like
we
that.
moved here, so was it right before we moved here? Then almost 5 years.
I don't recall, actually. I'm
I
not
was
quite
sick.
sure. But yeah, you and Chris were going to be Sean's parents
No.
for that.
I do remember that he went by himself one time. That must have been then.
It must have been it.
And I'm trying to think what was going on with me at the time. Maybe I was having a lot of headaches. It could have been then. Anyway.
So yeah, you would have been one of the customers. And but yeah, we did end up using some shots of Chris in there. One of them being a still shot, which I'm still not totally happy with, but it's not like I can go back and refilm it.
Not now.
No. Chris doesn't look too much different, but Sean sure does. So. He's not the little kid that he used to be.
No.
And then after that, we did connect more, but I went outside our circle of friends in that one to another circle of friends, which I'm involved in, so didn't really have too much input there from the first two groups. These were two guys that I knew through actually a Prince site online, prince.org, and got to know them through there, and then whenever there was a concert up in the cities or something like that, we'd end up hanging out and stuff, so I got to know them that way. So those are the two guys that are in that one.
Okay.
And that one only called for 2 people, so I'm like, this could be a really small cast and crew, so. But as far as what to do next, I have no idea what I want to do next.
Well, I think that making Yodas Treasure was really, really fun. And it gave me a little peek inside why people in Hollywood love what they do. Because it was actually really, really fun. And so maybe someday we can do one again, and maybe Emma can have a part in it next time.
Yeah. Well, I had thought of maybe at some point doing a sequel to that. And I actually have
To
stuff
Yodas
written up for it.
Oh, that would be fun.
The thing is, we killed off your character in the first movie. Spoilers. But we were going to do... I suppose I can talk about it because I won't give away too many of the details in case we end up doing this at some point.
I can be a new character.
Well, we were going to do, in the film, an audition process to replace Jedi number 5 in their group. And so we'd have a few different people, and one of the people that would be actually interviewing for, well, auditioning for that position would be yourself. And right away they dismiss you. It's like, no, we don't want you. It's like, what? I'm perfect. No. Thank you, next. Kind of a thing.
Funny.
But, yeah, we can find a way to get you back. Anything's possible.
I can be somebody else. Yeah.
Anything's possible in film or TV, soap operas. They can bring back people from the dead all the time.
Well, and there's always the Dr. Jekyll. Dr. Jekyll? No, who is the one that created Frankenstein?
Actually, Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein created Frankenstein. There's always Dr. Frankenstein who creates...
The monster is actually just the monster. He's not Frankenstein.
Oh, he's not called Frankenstein?
No.
Why is he always referred to as Frankenstein?
Yeah, it's a misconception.
Oh, okay, so Dr. Frankenstein creates a monster by stitching them all together. So you could stitch Jedi number 5 all together.
We did that with Darth Smiley.
Yeah.
He had his head chopped off, and then he duct taped it back together.
That's right.
So yeah, there's always that idea. Otherwise, I'm not sure if I would revisit one of the other scripts or not.
Like
the
write a
Jedi
whole
Clerks
new one.
But I've also been thinking, I'd like to do something kind of totally different than Star Wars as well. Something original, but I don't know what it would be. Because so far my ideas have been takes or parodies on existing things already.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, like even, the Kevin Smith films. Clerks was kind of a take on Slacker. And then all his other movies was kind of a take on Clerks, actually. Because you look at Mallrats, and it's kind of like Clerks in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did Clerks 2, of course, and just using the same characters and continuing their story.
Did he do Waiting as well?
Which one?
Waiting?
No.
That's a good one. You'd like that one. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
I can pull it up.
Yeah.
You need to see it. It's good. I believe it's on Netflix. Do you do Netflix?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's on Netflix. Look it up. Waiting.
All right. So yeah, I guess if you're up for more films in the future, we can count you in.
Absolutely. Yeah. As long as we make the schedules work.
Yeah. And that's the difficult thing. That the first thing I thought of when I thought of doing the sequel, it's like, okay, to try to get all these people back again.
Well, where's Matt at now?
Matt is in Michigan again.
Okay. And Travis is Tennessee, right?
Kentucky.
And then Mark is...
He's still in the Rochester area.
Rochester area.
Terpstra, even though he is in Rochester, it was hard enough to have him come for all the stuff for the first movie, so maybe we can kill off Dave.
Well, I was going to say, he probably would do it again if he can squeeze it in. He's teaching now, right? So his summers should be easier.
And he's got 4 kids, though. So, yeah. He's got 3 boys, and they just had a girl about a year ago.
Are you kidding me?
No. So, yeah, he's...
Wow, because isn't his oldest boy,
good.
like, getting close to high school?
Yeah, he should be. Because I think Sean was, 1 or 2 when he had his first.
Well, so if he's teaching now, he should be free during the summers. Unless he does, like, driver's ed or something.
I think he does he coaches baseball with his kids.
Yeah, he can still do it. And then Chad
is free a lot of the time. Although he's got his son that he's got to work around as well.
How's he doing?
He seems to be doing pretty good. I haven't seen him lately. I think the last time I saw Chad, we went to, was it might have been the last Batman movie. We went to that together.
And he's doing okay?
Yeah, he seems to be. Let's see, who else is there? Chad actually, well, he did show up at the end of that film.
You can replace Dave with Wade. They're the same height, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows how busy Wade will be at that point. But, well, whenever we decide to do this. If we do it, if it happens. Who knows?
Don't think about it.
In the meantime, it's kind of fun to get these things going too, the podcast. So
you need
a background like on every person that is involved.
And how we became connected.
Yeah.
So you need to let me see those other movies that you did, because I don't know that I've ever seen them. Do you have your computer here?
No, I don't, but they're all online.
They're online.
If you go to flamingdeath.net, they should all be listed there, and I think Yodas Treasure is one that, well, even if you click on the link, it should open up like Windows media player to play it. Luke and Leia and Connect More are both on YouTube.
Oh, really?
But I've got links to them through the website. So.
Okay, well, let's go check it out.
All right. So that's podcast. This is actually number 2. And we'll get 3 recorded pretty soon here.
Sometime today.
Yeah. But thanks for listening to Flamecast. the podcast known as Flamecast. And we'll talk to you next time. And I'm Todd Pletz.
And I'm Tina Marler.
And that's a wrap.